we're going to come in and we're going to take all of the pressure off of you. And now all you have to do is just really make sure that your product is good. Just continuously focus on your product and look for opportunities to help us become more efficient, which is going to make us more profitable.
Welcome to Boys Under the Hood. I'm Pat Kelly, joined by James Stephenson. You might notice that I'm a little bit sad today because earlier this week I learned that James was seeing other people in Long Island. This isn't the only podcast, which, by the way, is made possible by Lotus Business Solutions, lotuspe.us, that James does.
Yeah.
And I want to learn more about this. And I learned more because you were in Long Island and you told me that you heard the radio station originating from Springfield in Long Island.
Yeah.
But you've got something else going on out there. What do you have?
So I think like through your your travels in general, right? And you talk to a lot of people, and so one of the things that I constantly preach is that you have to go out there and you have to shake 10,000 hands before you're a business owner, and been at business for 20 years. You've been at it for 30 plus years, probably. Jesus, crazy, right? Yeah. And and how many hands have you shaken in that amount of time? And so just the natural evolution of things. Like I've been on a bunch of other podcasts, and I get invited to go to different businesses and speak to people, or have these seminars and webinars and all kinds of stuff. And it's awesome, and you meet some really, really incredible people. And so I don't know, a little while ago, we started working with some companies down that way in Long Island, and mainly we have like an electrical contractor down there that does really, really well. I mean, an absolutely incredible product, great people, good company, and they just want to kind of figure out how to get to the next level. Like their company is not doing bad. There's nothing like that. It's not like something where we're trying to change the company or rebrand it or anything like that. It's not that. It's just how do we modernize them a little bit? How do we make them more efficient? How do we make the employee experience better? Customer experience is great, but how do we even make it even better? And then how do we hire and how do we train and what systems are we going to use and all of that really, really cool stuff. And so we spend a little bit of time going back and forth with that. And then, we have some other business relationships down there. So we have, those guys, that business, to establish himself as kind of an expert in the industry. They do a similar marketing plan to this, right? Okay. Get on a podcast, get on some videos, and start talking to people and telling them, who you are and what you do. And so in doing that, we have, some other people that have businesses down there, and we all have kind of a group of people that all tend to work well together and work at so funny. I feel like I'm
here it comes. Here it comes.
No, I'm not gonna. It's not me. It's you. It's not you. It's me. Is that what I'm supposed to say?
I saw the look. No. Okay.
So we have businesses down there that are people that have businesses down there that we work with that are really, really tremendous at what they do, and they just need a little bit of help streamlining different things or just getting a little bit of direction. And I get it from them too. Everybody kind of works well together, and really, really tremendous people, and then, obviously I want to expand down there with our real estate stuff, and then with our, owning some businesses.
No, just so you know, I love that you're doing it.
Because, yeah. Thank you. Oh, you would love those guys. They're the craziest group of people.
I'm all over, being around like-minded people, and that's half of the battle to me in being successful. I just wanted to take the bitch stance because I heard about it after you had started it. So I'm like, well, isn't that nice? James Stephenson is doing all this.
So I think the biggest business opportunity that people aren't talking about right now is in the trades. So this leads me to in general, who we are and what we do, because there's a common misconception that like we're a coaching firm, and that's just not the case. We coach businesses, but we only coach them if we're working with them, either whether we own them or partnering with them or whatever. Like unless they're on our portfolio, we're not going to coach them. And so I have a feeling, I have a belief, a very strong belief that there's been a technician crunch, right? There's a shortage of electricians, plumbers, mechanics, construction workers, all of this stuff. And that's no secret. It's been that way for a while, and it's getting worse. And so these businesses in general, a lot of them are just run wrong. And you have an owner that refuses to change. They refuse to evolve. They somewhat have this like entitlement towards their employees, like, I'm giving you a job. You should just show up. I pay
Right.
you on Friday. And that's how you know that you're, I don't know, not even necessarily doing good, right? You're just still employed every week. There's no goals. There's nothing that they're working towards.
Right.
And so I think that a lot of these things like that are contributing to that problem. And so then you've got all of these trade business owners that are all really, for the most part, of a certain age, that are all getting ready to retire. And so pretty soon, there's going to be nobody left to fix your plumbing or your electrical or your cars or anything like that. And so for us as a company, we have a proven system that works to draw in customers for marketing, that works to keep, to allow us to attract people to come work for us, that allows us to retain people, and promote from within and all of these good things, right? Keep them happy, keep them motivated, because, it's important. And the customers are happy, right? We have this whole system that has worked not only just in the Northeast, but just all over the country. And then you've got this audience of people that the majority of them are closing down. I read some statistic that said that there's something like 3,000 businesses a day that just close.
Wow.
Right? Good businesses, they just close, right? And so could you imagine if somebody's got a really nice auto repair shop? Actually, there's a situation I'm running into right now where this guy has an auto repair shop. The shop does about $1.25 million a year. Excellent shop, great shop, good reputation. He's struggling to find technicians, right? He's struggling to find technicians. Great business, still busy, but he's just struggling with that. And then every day he's pulling his hair out. And he is a little bit older. He's been doing it for a long time, and he just doesn't really need the money anymore. And where he's at is he just wants to walk away from the thing. He's going to walk away from this $1.25 million a year in this good shop in a great location because, I don't know, he hasn't really set it up to sell it. And so, somebody might not want to buy it because it's still more of a job the way it's set up now. And, he's just going to walk away from it. But why? Why would you do that, right? If you're going to sell a business or that you're going to punch out in a couple of years, there's a lot of things that you need to do. Right? If you could, get it so that it's self-driving, so to speak, it's worth a lot more. It's worth a lot more. And so you get a lot of these owners and they're checked out long before they actually leave the relationship because the heart leaves before the body. And so like when you're getting ready to sell a house, you're like, I'm not fixing the screen door and I'm not going to mess with that shutter. And I'm not going to, especially in this housing market, people don't care. They'll give you a dilapidated mess. You got to buy it at 10% and, 10% for 30 years and, pay 20% over asking price, And so businesses, they're on sale everywhere and people are just walking away from them and abandoning them. And so if you have a recipe for success, there's a captive audience and it is everywhere. And so for me, what I want to do is I want to ultimately go and find these companies and help these people, get them to where they need to be, and then keep them running and keep them as, a nice, successful, happy, prosperous business in these different areas. But it's easier to find businesses than it is real estate. And a lot of these businesses have real estate attached.
I feel like a lot of that might be, someone who is getting older, and maybe not even necessarily. Maybe they just want to retire, but they haven't come up with kind of a succession plan. Because if I'm a business owner, I'm eventually at some point wanting to leave, I want to set it up so that someone else is running it, but I'm still going to want a piece of that action.
Yeah, and so there are ways that people can do. There's all kinds of ways. I remember when I first started getting into, I was like, well, how do I buy a business? I started switching. I was like, well, I'm a business coach, and then, when I was a business coach, we owned properties, and I would always kind of do that, but low key, never talked about it. Just we would go buy properties, we'd fix them, we'd hold them, we'd, whatever. And so when I was like, well, I want to get into buying businesses, you start Googling that. There's a million people that are like, well, you could do it for no money down and you could go buy businesses for no money. And that's not, I mean, you can, I guess you can. It's just, at the beginning, middle, and end of the day, you have to go and pay for a business because the guy, if he's got a good business, he's smart, you can help him avoid, not avoid, but you can help them defer a lot of like different taxes and things like that by structuring the deal in very specific legal ways. Right. But yeah, for the most part, like if these guys are holding the paper on a portion of it, man, they avoid a bunch of upfront tax and they're guaranteed that, a certain amount of money. But like, think about it this way, right? So like when I sold Precision, that company, you did a lot to help us promote that. And, I did a tremendous amount for almost 20 years to promote that company and work on that company. And, I wouldn't have just wanted to sell it to just anyone, because what if they ran it into the ground or they destroyed your reputation, right? And so what if they did any of those things? It would break your heart. It would break your heart because, there's that emotional attachment. And that's not just me. That's everywhere all across the country. These people have this incredible emotional attachment to the business. And so in a lot of cases, they're like, well, I'd rather close it than sell it to some guy that's going to mess it up. And so now if you have a very strong track record of doing this over and over and over, and you have, a good reputation of doing it, you've got data, right? We talk about data regularly, right?
It doesn't lie.
Yeah, it doesn't lie. It just makes it a lot easier to say, hey, look, like, this is what we can do. This is how we can do it. And, this is what we think that it's worth based on all of these other experiences. And I don't know a lot of people that are really focusing on the trade stuff. And the reason that they're not focusing on it is because I don't think people have realized that there's money in trades until recently. I don't think that, and so, I've been in it for so long, but I don't think that people really, it became mainstream that, oh shit, I think there's a lot of money in trades, right? Because it was cool to be a doctor or a lawyer, and those were the only places that you can make money. But you forget that, like, how many cars did you pass on your way to get here? Every one of them needs to be fixed.
Right. So my thought is, like, is the supply of all the tradesmen goes down, then their value must go up.
People are always still going to want to work on cars. Some people are thinkers, and some people work with their hands. It's just, human nature. So how do you attract these people? And how do you keep them motivated? And, we have a way to do that. And it works, a lot more times than it doesn't work, right? We still hire people sometimes and they tend to be a dud, or maybe we've failed somehow to motivate them or, do something that they needed. But for the most part, I mean, we have a pretty strong retention rate, with the people that we actually bring on board. And we're very proud of that. And it works because you unless you can get other people to do what you do, you're stuck doing it forever. So if you can go into these businesses and you're like, hey, look, we can handle your marketing, we can handle your financials, we can handle your staffing, we can handle, all of your procedures. We already have systems, we already have software. And you start talking to somebody like this and you have a track record of doing all of this. Look, we're going to come in and we're going to take all of the pressure off of you. And now all you have to do is just really make sure that your product is good. Just continuously focus on your product and look for opportunities to help us become more efficient, which is going to make us more profitable, right? Or allow us to, profitability doesn't mean that we're necessarily putting money back in our pockets, but profitability means that we can now invest back into the company for more equipment, more things, so we can diversify services, or so that we can, in like, electrical contractors or plumbers or whatever, a lot of these things, we could start buying up other smaller contractors in what's called a roll-up, and we can add them to our current infrastructure. Because the main thing with a lot of these contractors, plumbers and everything else, they'll still have a building or they'll have a warehouse or something, but for the most part, they got to make money going to somebody's house. And so it's trucks. And so now you go and you buy a company and it comes with electricians and it comes with trucks, and you rebrand those things and you just keep bolting them on to the infrastructure. One of the first companies that I went in and bought, I went in, I bought the company, and then within, I stayed there for a little bit, and I went around, I met people, and then we bought 4 other companies that we were able to add to that existing infrastructure. 4 other companies, and I did it in like 30 days. It was crazy, And so you just made these deals with other people, and now instantly the company is like doubled in size, and everybody's kicking butt, and then you get that energy, that excitement, and there's I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, oh, I didn't make any money today, but I did this, that, and the other, And there's something to be said. You're either making money or you're making energy, and energy will always turn into the money. And you never want to just focus on the money. I know I'm kind of talking about that now. It's the things that we do with it, right? Because we need money to hire the best people, right? We need money. We got to be able to afford them, and we've got to have money to be able to advertise to get them, or to get the work that we need to get them, or to have the tools that we need, or the better equipment. You got a plumber or you got an electrician, and these guys are driving around in piece of crap broke down vans. The guys don't want to work for you. It's tough to dispatch work, and the electrician is sitting around waiting for something to do. No, you need electronic dispatching. In our company, they have all that. They're tight processes, but for the most part, I think you see where I'm going, right? Yeah. These guys don't want wasted time. Same thing with the technicians. I talk mainly about auto repair shops because, that's where I got most of my experience. But the reality is, we own all the construction, construction, plumbing, electrical. We're involved with med spas, gyms. Rome.
Oh yeah.
So Rome's a beast.
I know he is.
I'm on his podcast next week.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I'm on Rome's podcast. Yeah, you're too busy. You're too busy.
So you're
too busy.
There's a couple things, and because we're running out of time.
Yeah, we are.
But I do want to address a couple things that I heard you say on our next podcast.
Yeah.
You talked about reinvesting money back into the infrastructure. I want to talk about how important that is, because
into people in the
I think a lot of guys, they get a check and they're like, woo, right?
Yeah.
And another thing I want to talk about is your SEO program that is working not just for auto shops, but for any business, literally. Search engine optimization.
Yeah,
right?
We have an AI-based SEO program, and it's actually 3 different programs that are all wrapped into one. So we have somebody that kind of dials them all in and makes them all work. So nobody ever knows that it's multiple programs. We have these 3 different programs, and basically what it does is it goes after these keywords using data coming in from analytics and our analytics from our ad accounts and everything, and it begins to make your website more relevant in search to these terms that people are looking for in real time. And then it changes the copy on your site. We'll talk about that more later. I feel like I could talk about that for an hour.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because I know too, when I first learned about it, I'm like, James, you need to stop speaking a different language to me. But then you started putting it in layman's terms, and I'm like, okay, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I want it to make sense to the people watching the podcast, because we're here to help them ultimately. So
I feel like I only know about a couple things in life, right? It's like businesses and cars for the most part.
And cheating on his podcast partner. Now with Rome, that's great. Thanks for joining us for Boys Under the Hood. You can learn more about Lotus Business Solutions at lotuspe.us.
I don't have to cheat. You can watch if you want.
Please feel free. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Please feel free to leave a comment. We'll see you next time.